All right, we're getting things set up. This is our first ever. No, this is not my first ever time doing a live stream on YouTube, but it's the first time we're doing it in this fashion. So give me a second as we get this thing set up. Interestingly enough, it shows up on my computer. I could see myself on YouTube doing this, and I get the audio. That's weird. So let me just mute that quickly. Okay, what's going on, everybody? So here's the deal. This is how this is going to work. So for those of you who are watching live on YouTube, I've done this in my Facebook group a handful of times, and I just figured, what the heck, we'll try it on Facebook here today. And here's the reason, and here's the context of what's happening here. So every single business needs a way to convert leads into customers, right? And there's a variety of ways to do that. You can do it through a webinar, you can do it through a seminar, you can do it through a live presentation, you can do it through commercials, you can do it through advertising, marketing, social media, sales calls, right? There's any number of ways that you can do that. But the bottom line for all of this is exactly this. The business must find a way to get a customer excited about what they are selling. If you can't get the customer excited, it's going to be really hard to make the transaction. So the way that I have decided to sell in my business is through webinars and live presentations. So we'll do some stuff in person as well. So what you're going to watch here, if you choose to watch this, is a sales presentation. It is my conversion vehicle to try to take leads into customers. Now I'm going to go ahead and start recording this thing in a couple minutes here when we get started, and we won't express that it's a sales presentation. But for those of you who are watching right now, I want you to have that context, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get exceptional at my sales presentation. And I believe that one of the, if not the greatest power that a human being has, is repetition. And the more you do things, the better you get at doing the thing. And that is what I'm trying to do. This is the 6th time in about 2 weeks that I've done this exact presentation. And I just want to keep going over and over and over. And I evolve it every time. Spend an hour today evolving the presentation. After we're done here, I'll go back, I'll figure out what worked, figure out what didn't, what I want to change. We'll change it again, and we'll keep going until the numbers prove that we have something that is functional. So for those of you who are watching it right now, I want you to approach this, of course, if you're interested, you can in fact buy it, but that's not why I want you to watch this. I want you to watch this as a series, as it evolves. If you're in my Facebook group, go into those posts and see how it has evolved over time. It's gotten significantly better in just 6 attempts. We're going to do 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to do as many as we need to until the numbers start adding up to at least a reasonable percentage. So I want you to have that context, and that's why I tell you that to start. Okay. Okay, so without further ado, the other thing I'll say is that I stream it live on YouTube or my Facebook group because I want to have the accountability of doing it. I want to be able to make sure that I do it every single day. I don't want to get to a point in the presentation where I'm like, that wasn't very good, and then I stop. I want to have the accountability of doing it every day. I want to be able to announce it every single day. The people on my Facebook know that I'm doing this all the time. And I will give it to you folks over here on YouTube to see if you're interested in taking this journey with me as well. All right, here we go. Okay, welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Thank you so much for being here, ladies and gentlemen. It is a true honor to have you inside of this presentation. Now, what you should know is that this presentation makes me nervous. I have some legitimate fear in presenting this information to you. And the reason being is because it is completely contradictory to what you have learned in the past. And most likely it is completely contradictory to why you showed up here today. But I want you to know something. I have spent the last 5 years of my life working with entrepreneurs, strength and conditioning coaches, healthcare professionals from all over the world. And what I know to be true is that 99% of small businesses around the world are going to fail. And if that is truly the case, that means that it has to be the case that the answer and the pathway and the right path that you need to take to get to business success has to be contradictory to popular belief. What you believe is likely wrong, and the statistics prove that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you these things here today because I know them to be true, even though I may have a little fear about showing them to you. Okay. So the first question that I have for each one of you is I want you to think about this. I want you to write down your goal. Actually, let's do it this way. So the first thing that I want you to think about is I want you to put a picture of I want you to put a picture in your mind of the goal that you have. I want you to think about the goal that you have that you came here hoping to solve. Do you want to make 6 figures this year? Do you want to make 7 figures this year? Do you want to make 10K a month? What is it that you want to do? And what is it that you're hoping that a presentation like this might be able to solve for you? I want you to think about it. And if you're taking notes, I want you to write it down. Write it down on the top of your paper. And then what I want you to do is I want you to go under and I want you to start writing down the things that you think that you're going to do, right? Let's say you want to make 100,000 this year. So what are the things that you need to do in order to make that happen? Like, what are the literal steps that you're going to take? Are you going to advertise more? Are you going to post more on social media? What are the things that you are going to do in order to accomplish that goal? Well, at least not even maybe the things that you want to do. Maybe it's the things that you're going to do. Let's do it that way. Let's get down a couple of things. And then I want you to write that goal on the other side. You know, if you want to split it in 2, whatever, you can write it down. Somewhere else in the paper, I want you to write down your goal again. And I want you to think about it this way. If you don't reach your goal in the next, let's say 30 days, let's say you put down this goal for 30 days, or even if it's a year, if you don't reach this goal by the deadline, you will be spending the rest of you will be spending the next 12 months of your life inside of federal prison. Okay. And now I want you to write down under that goal, what are you doing differently? What are you doing differently with this on the line? You see, what I contend is that most people know what to do. On a very fundamental level, most people understand what are the things that they need to know, what they need to do to run a business. How many out here have heard of affiliate marketing? How many out here have heard of social media marketing? How many of out here have heard about business seminars and advertising clinics? How many people out here know about influencer marketing? How many people out here know about collaborating and affiliates and trying to find local businesses and people who already have your ideal customer and going to get them? The point is that most of us already have a pretty good understanding of what to do. We're just missing the execution part of it. Now, I'm not here to say that there are no strategies that you may not be aware of that may be able to amplify what you're capable of doing. We're going to get to that here today. But what I am saying is that there is a more fundamental problem inside of your business than just the how-to. The execution is the primary problem. Guys, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sean Light. I am the former strength and conditioning coach for the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm the current CEO of Weight Room Wealth. It's a company that I founded in 2017. And what we do is we leverage sports science and performance technology that was once only available to the most elite athletes on the planet. It was the stuff that we used in the NBA and the MLB when I worked for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And we leverage that science and technology for businesses and people like you to create massive revenue breakthroughs. And that's really what I want to show you here today. How does that sound? Sound good? So, like most of you, when I first started my business, I was excited. I had a lot of energy. I was ready to go. But like I said earlier, I started my business on the heels of working in the NBA. Now, here's what you have to understand about working as a strength and conditioning coach in the NBA. I am essentially handcuffed to the facility. I am at the beck and call of the players. I'm at the beck and call of the sport coaches, and I really have to do things at all hours of the day. And I really do mean at all hours of the day. I remember we were getting a flight, we just played the Rockets out in Houston, flew back to LA after the game, late night, we get in, and I'm at 3:00 in the morning, I'm headed back to the facility because I have to input reports. If I have a player, which happened all the time, remember a guy, Julius Randle, he's on the Knicks right now, he'd call me up at 10 o'clock at night, he wanted to go lift. D'Angelo Russell would always want to do these late night, midnight sessions. for whatever reason. And whenever that happens, I don't have an option. Like, I got to go, I got to work them. I got to make sure they're doing the right things. I got to make sure that they're being safe. So I was at the beck and call. And even in the off season, there's pre-draft workouts, there's travel, there's, you're visiting players if they're not living in LA, there's all sorts of travel. So it's a 24/7 job. Truly. We played on Christmas. There's no off days. Truly, that's the way that it worked. So when I got out into the real world and I started running my own business, I got the first taste of freedom that I had ever had. And I was excited about it, and I certainly took advantage of it. And one of the ways that I took most advantage of it was I loved playing this video game called Fortnite. Still out, still play it. These are my Fortnite headphones, by the way. So love playing this. I love playing this video game, and me and a couple of my buddies, we'd sit down and we'd get out, we'd sit down, throw the headsets on, we'd put together a little party, and we'd go out and we'd play squads for we play for hours, and it was so fun, man. It was so fun to get out there. It was so fun to play the game. It was absolutely addicting to play, and we just did it over and over and over. We did it every single day. But here's the thing. I had just started this business, and my intent was to go around the country and do these 2-day seminars. And I was launching these courses and trying to get people involved in that. And it wasn't really working, right? I wasn't making a lot of sales. My business was struggling. And that savings that I had built up from those MBA paychecks was slowly dripping down. And I knew it. I saw it. I saw the statements come in every month, saw the credit card bills every month. And I knew that there was a whole heck of a lot more money going out than it was coming in, right? And I knew it. But I kept playing video games, even though I knew in the back of my mind, like, I'm making a mistake here. And eventually it got to a critical point, right? Where I said to myself, I can't keep doing this or I'm going to run out of money. And then what? Does the business end? Am I deemed a failure? Do I have to go back and get a real job? Do I have to go get a 9-to-5? And those are fighting words to me. I don't do that, right? So I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, what the heck is going on? Now, at this time in my life, I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning because that's what I thought entrepreneurs do. I thought that they grind and they get up and they hustle before everybody else. And I thought that maybe that was going to be the difference maker. Newsflash, it is not. But in one of these mornings when it's completely dark out, and I have an apartment that looks over New York City, and I stare out into the city, there's nobody up, all the buildings are dark because I truly am the only one up. I started thinking. I started saying to myself, I started asking myself the real questions. What's going on, Sean? What are you doing? Why aren't you doing the work, right? You know it's good for you. You know the deal, but why aren't you doing it? And I sat there and I thought about it, and I kept peeling back layers, asking myself why, like a little kid, why? I peeled back enough layers to get down to the bottom line, the true foundation of why I wasn't doing it. And the reality is, and if you've been in a situation like this is the reality for you as well. Somewhere up here inside of my brain, very physically speaking, inside of my brain, something is triggering me to go this way and play the video games versus this way to do the work, right? And making it even simpler, human beings are driven to chase pleasure and avoid pain, right? Very simply, the work was pleasure, the work was pain, and the video games was pleasure. So it's really easy for my brain to make that decision over and over and over again. But here was the realization that I made. In that moment, I realized that if I were able to just switch things around up here, I could change that. I could change those pathways, and I could get myself to want to work, right? If I could get myself to want to play video games, I could certainly manipulate the pathways up here to want to work, right? So I sat there and I thought about it, like, what do I need to do? If that's the case, if I need to just take advantage and take a chokehold over my own mind and my brain and my neurology, well, then that's what I need to do, right? If that's all that it takes to get me to want and compel me to do the work, that's what I got to do. So I went on Amazon, literally in that moment, I went on Amazon.com and I ordered a book called How to Own Your Mind by Napoleon Hill. I had already known who Napoleon Hill was. I read Think and Grow Rich. He's the author of probably the most successful self-help, entrepreneurial, personal development book of all time. It has sold millions of copies. So I already knew the guy. Decided I was going to own it. I was going to buy it. So 2 days later, Amazon Prime shipping comes to my house. You start reading through it, and it becomes abundantly clear to me what was happening. There is a science to achievement. as when I was reading this book, it became very clear to me that there were very practical steps that you could follow. Now, the book is just a bird's eye view. It doesn't really give you the steps, but it makes it clear that the steps exist. Now, they give you some of the steps, but it makes it very clear that the steps exist. Now, here's what I want you to understand is that achievement is a science, right? Tony Robbins will say something like, there's a science to achievement, but an art to fulfillment. In art class, I could draw a big picture with a circle and you think it sucks, but somebody else thinks that it's worth $3 million. This happens all the time in the art industry. But achievement is different. Achievement is a science. If I'm in science class and I take two beakers with two different chemicals and I pour them into another beaker, I'm going to get a reaction. If I only take one of those chemicals and put them in and I leave one of the other ones out, I get no reaction, right? But if I take the two and I put them in, like it fizzes, it bubbles, it explodes, it does whatever it does because I've added the two things, right? What I'm here to tell you and teach you today is I'm here to teach you what those chemicals are to give you the reaction, which is achievement, which is success, which is cash flow, which is whatever goal that you came here looking to solve. There are ingredients that if we take them and we blend them together, we get the thing, we get the result, we get it. What I'm here to show you what I'm here to show you today is the science, is the steps, is the chemicals, is the formula for achievement. Okay. Now I need your help before we get into the actual steps and actually teach you these chemicals. I need you to do one thing for me. Now it's going to be entirely up to me to do the work, but I need you to make yourself a commitment right now in this moment going forward. I need you to commit that the moment that you realize that the science of achievement is in fact the missing link in your business, in your journey, in your entrepreneurial career, you will go all in. Now again, it's completely up to me to actually do the work and prove it to you beyond a shadow of a doubt. Leave that up to me. But the moment that you realize that the science of achievement is your missing link, you will go all in on making it happen. Can you give me that commitment? All right. So what we're going to teach you here today is we're going to teach you 3 scientific breakthroughs that you can actually train and control inside of your brain, okay, and your body. Okay. The first breakthrough that we'll teach you is how to inject energy into your business and want to put in the work without constantly using mental toughness to get stuff done. Breakthrough number 2 is how a little known neuroscience breakthrough can bring your business thousands of raving fans without spending a dime. And then lastly, we're going to show you the quantum leap strategy that can reduce your workload by 50%, really 50% or more, even though once you learn it, you won't want to. All right. So we're going to run through these breakthroughs for you now, and then we'll let's just go. Okay. So those of you who are in the entrepreneurial world, there's no doubt you know who this man is. This is Gary Vaynerchuk. He's got like 10 million followers on social media. He is an absolute legend. Now, when I first started my business and I started learning about Gary Vee, this dude is absolutely intoxicating. His message is wildly addicting. He gives you energy, he gives you motivation, and he's everywhere. He's on every social media platform. He's going live seemingly on 6 different platforms simultaneously. He's constantly posting, and his message is surprisingly simple. He just talks about hustle. He talks about DMing people. He talks about posting on social media. He talks about attention arbitrage and just being on the right platforms where the attention is and where the eyeballs are. His message is really simple. He always talks about eating shit, quote unquote, right? And it's just like doing the dirty work, doing the things that we deep down we know that we need to do, but for some reason it's just hard for us to do that. So my brother and I were both entrepreneurs. We both followed Gary Vee, and years ago, we're swept up into his messaging and swept up into his platforms. And we always talk, we laugh, we're like, damn, like Gary, like if we did this, like imagine what it would be like. It was obvious, right? And I don't think it's far-fetched for you, the entrepreneur, to look at that and say, like, yeah, if I did that, I would probably be successful, right? Like it makes sense, right? But still, we don't do it. So my brother and I, after going through this a million times, we finally come to the conclusion we're going to do it. But we're only going to do it for one day, and we were calling it the full Gary Vee mode day. What if for just one day, we acted as if Gary Vee was sitting right here critiquing and judging everything that we were going to do, and that everything that we were going to do had to be Gary Vee approved. That meant working all day, and that meant DMing a million people, and that's what we did. We DM'd tons of people. We got on calls with people. We were emailing folks. We posted a ton. We posted on all sorts of different platforms, and we did everything that we thought podcasts, so Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, like everything that we thought he would do, we did. And by the end of the day, here's what happened. I got about 5 or 6 long-term high-ticket clients, which led to about $50,000, 50 grand, 50 in revenue. I became the exclusive sports performance and rehabilitation provider of a local sports federation here in New York City. Okay, that's a pretty big one. Okay, which led to a whole host of other money. Right. We sold several $199 courses, $497 courses, and $997 digital assets throughout the day. So all in all, we were looking at somewhere between $50,000 and $70,000 in one day. Right. At the end of the day, you would think that I would be pumped, but I wasn't. Do you know why? Because I was freaking exhausted. And at the end of the day, I was looking at it and I was like, I just need to sleep. And I woke up the next morning. I said, imagine, you can't help but think this way. Imagine if I did this every single day. What would happen? $50,000, $70,000 every single day. I'm freaking killing it, right? But for some reason, I still didn't want to do it. And why is the question? Why do I still not want to do it? Well, the reason is because I didn't feel like it. I was tired. I didn't have the energy. But that's what I want to teach you here today, is I want to teach you that what entrepreneurs need more than anything else is energy. They need the energy to be able to do the thing over and over and over again. The first component, the first part of the formula of the science of achievement is energy. And you know this, right? So here's what you need. Entrepreneurs need to have long sustaining energy that can support long hours of work and few off days. Here's how you get it. The aerobic system inside of the body is the only system of the body that is capable of producing this level of energy. So here's an example. There's a thing in the business called eccentric ventricular contraction. It helps your heart hold more blood, which will then push out more blood and more oxygen and more resources to the muscles because you have more capacity to hold blood. Now, you can train this system through sustained exercise between 130 and 150 beats per minute, from anywhere from 30 to 90 minutes. If you fall below that, there isn't enough pressure to create an adaptation. If you're too high, you will enter the anaerobic energy system, which is literally conditioning the body to have less energy because it only works in short bursts of energy. Now, as an entrepreneur, short bursts of energy are nice, but it ain't going to do it. You may get a short burst of energy for one Gary Vee day, but we need a Gary Vee lifetime. Now, I'm not saying that you have to work as hard as he does in order to achieve success. Success is subjective. Success is what you make of it. So maybe for you, you're only working a couple hours a day. But if you have that energy, if you're able to get it every single day, think about what the difference is for your business. Now, the beauty of all of this is that this is all trainable. This is all something that you can do on your own. This is something that you can train to have inside of your body. This is what we did every single day as an MBA strength and conditioning coach. Now, there's something else that I want to talk to you about here as well, is that there's another thing that you need to be able to have as an entrepreneur. Now, if you look here at this picture, what you're seeing in this picture is a neuron conducting an electrical signal. So if, let's say, when I decide to raise my hand, a signal is sent along this axon here, okay? The electrical signal gets sent along this axon to my arm, from my brain to my arm to raise it, okay? Now, the more you do something, the more efficient that pathway is, it speeds up the conduction, and it adds this stuff on the outside of the neuron called myelin. Now, when you add myelin to the outside of a fiber, when you add myelin on the outside of the neuron, it goes faster. Okay, the conduction of the signal goes a lot faster, and it's what you have as muscle memory. Here's why this is so important to you, because as an entrepreneur, there are things that you want to do. You need to work. You don't need to play video games. But one of these pathways is more myelinated. The body, the brain always is going to take the path of least resistance. When you play a lot of video games, that gets myelinated. And when you're faced with the decision, the brain is literally looking at the superhighway versus the dirt road. Which do you think the brain is going to take? It's going to take the superhighway. But when you understand this and you can manipulate this, which you can through simple diet and exercise, you can speed up the process of myelination, which will eventually tip the scales. And now your brain makes you want to do the things you need to do, which is work, right? We're not talking about mental toughness here. We're talking about neuroscience and making yourself want to do it. It's manipulating the neurology that's built into your system. It's built into your brain in order to allow you to want to do these things, okay? So here's what you need. High achievers need to develop productive and efficient daily habits that don't require mental toughness to complete. How do you get it? The speed in which myelin is produced can be manipulated through specific nutrition. Specific nutrition, okay? Okay, so hold on, I just want to check my notes here. It's beautiful. Okay, so the first secret, guys, is that energy and myelination are true missing links for what you are doing. Oh, I just lost you on the lost you here. Cool. Okay, secret number 2. Sorry, I keep losing my water. Secret number 2. Now look, people find motivation in one of 2 ways. They either find it through crisis. Now, this happens in crisis. Crisis can be in a diagnosis, right? Somebody gets spurred on to have a more healthy lifestyle when they get a grim diagnosis from the doctor. They may be spurred to work harder in business if they reach a certain threshold of money, as I did when my savings account was being depleted. Now, the other side of the motivation spectrum is opportunity. Some people are driven by opportunity. Jeff Bezos decided to take advantage of the opportunity when he realized the statistic that the internet was growing at 2,300% per year. He didn't have a passion for selling books, but he saw this statistic and he took advantage of the opportunity. Now, the interesting thing here is that we want to be able to learn, how can you train yourself to not wait until you have a crisis before you start taking advantage of all of the opportunity in front of you? Isn't that what we're trying to do? Isn't it true that right now, you know that there's a lot of opportunity for whatever it is that you do? If you own a gym, if you own a cookie shop, if you own whatever it is that you own, isn't it true that you know that there's a lot of opportunity in your field? If there wasn't, you probably wouldn't have gotten into this industry. You wouldn't have started a business to begin with. Is that fair to say? Now, look, when I was first starting this game, like a lot of you, I had a really hard time. I wish I could sit up here and tell you that business came easy to me, but it simply did not. I had a really hard time learning how to make ends meet in the business and learn how to create cash flow and create sales and marketing. It was a really big challenge for me to when I was starting my business. Now, finally figured out this thing, and I decided to put together this big event, and I had a huge windfall of cash. I made about $27,000 in a single day, and I was really excited to get out there and start meeting my customers and see how I could help them at a level. And it was a consulting company where we were going to help people have more success as a strength and conditioning coach. I was very respected in the industry, and I was able to consult on how to go from wherever you are now to the highest level, which is NBA, MLB, which is the places that I was. So we started scheduling calls with a lot of the new customers, and I'll never forget this one call. Is this awesome gal? She was like a rookie strength coach. I think she was still interning, and she was asking me like, how do I do this? What kind of internships do I get? What kind of jobs do I get? How do I do this? What do I need to learn? So I started telling her exactly what I did to go from journalism degree to NBA strength coach in 4 years. Started telling her, these are the courses that you take. You should go meet this guy. Go to Indianapolis to meet this guy. He's awesome. Go to Houston or Nebraska to meet this guy. Blah blah blah. And I started telling him stuff, and she was so grateful, and she says, Sean, like, that is awesome. Thanks so much for telling me this stuff. It's just going to be a little bit before I get going. And I was like, you can't wait. You got to go. There's no time to wait. You just have to do it immediately. She says, no, I understand that, and I really would love to, but I don't have any money right now. Quite frankly, I don't even have enough money for food. I can't even buy dinner tonight. And I was like, oh, okay. And that really took me off guard, because that was something that I never dealt with. I certainly dealt with a lot of struggles on my come up, but I never dealt with that. So we get off the call, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, and I'm like, I really had a hard time getting that off of my mind. And I just kept thinking, and I remember saying to myself, like, here I am sitting on all this cash, just made $27,000. This girl over here, she's awesome. She's working hard. She wants to be better, but she just doesn't have enough money to even put food on the table. So I thought that decided that the right thing to do was to go online and have a week's worth of food delivered to her house. And that's what I did. We went online, found one of those meal delivery services, and had a week's worth of food delivered to her like a couple days from now. So, a few days go by. I end up getting a call from her, and she's in tears. She is so grateful. She is so happy that somebody would do something like that. And it really made me feel awesome to be able to help her at that level. Now, I don't tell you this story to paint myself a hero. I tell you this story because in that moment, I learned what the real fuel of business actually is, and it's love. Now, I'm not talking about love from the Notebook. I'm talking about real love. I'm talking about science. I'm talking about how this is manufactured inside of the brain and how that energy can resonate inside of a business. Now, a lot of people find a lot of success. They find amplified success in their business when they have a new child. The father gets more motivated and works harder when he has a newborn, right? So a lot of people get into careers like physical therapy and personal training because their brother had an injury, they had an injury, or one of their parents was struggling with something, and they wanted to learn how to help them. And that is the love that pushes them forward. The holy grail, however, of business is when the entrepreneur falls in love with his customer, when they are so motivated, they will do whatever it takes to end the struggle and solve the problems of the people that they want to serve. And in this moment, that's when I realized. There's a great quote from the movie The Greatest Showman. It goes something like, standing here, I remember what all of this was for. And when you see your customer in a state like that, and you're really genuinely able to solve their problems, you see why all of this exists. Now, what I really don't want you to think about as we talk about it is I don't want you to think of this as this lovey-dovey, mushy love is what I'm talking about. And while I do think that there's a lot of value in there, I want to apply a little science to this to make it real for you. Now, in the brain, there's all sorts of different brain waves that we have, right? There's a spectrum of it. There's beta, there's alpha, there's theta, there's gamma, there's all sorts of different ones, right? Now, at the highest level of amplitude in those signals is betas, the beta waves of the brain. Now, this is your survival state. This is your fight or flight. When you're in beta, you're not creating, you're fighting, right? You're stressed, you're in that state. Now, the further down that spectrum you get more into a creative mindset, which is business, which is helpful, which is problem solving, which is love, which is community, which is all of the things that are helpful in business. If you're in beta, it's really hard to run a business because you're in survival, you're in lack. Down here is abundance. Now, the lowest amplitude of brainwave that you can get into is gamma, which is also love. It's the same amplitude. When somebody is in love, they have the same amplitude as gamma, as the gamma rays inside, or the gamma waves inside of your brain. And when you do that, your brain and your heart send out a literal coherent signal that allows you to have more of a coherent, energetic, that frees up so much energy that was previously being directed towards the stressful side the stressful necessities that the body was at least perceiving that it needed to go to, and it now fuels you to go into helping other people and helping your customer. So it's not just about this mushy lovey-dovey love stuff. It is literally the fuel that fuels your business. Okay, so that is secret number 2. Okay, secret number 3 here. Hold on, before we do that, let me just make sure I got going to the right spot. Okay. Okay, so here is secret number 3. A few years ago, I was having a hard time. Like, I was making some sales, and then I would go on cold streaks, and I get hot, and then I get really cold. And I was always, like most entrepreneurs, in the beginning of starting a business, I would be nervous about paying the bills every single month. Now, I've been running all sorts of presentations and sales pitches and trying to get people to buy things, but I was really not having success. And the way that I would do it is I would read all these books, I would take all these courses, I would hire coaches, and I would cherry pick the things that I liked, and I would blend them together in what then became my system. So I blended them together, and this is what my system became. Now, I would do this over and over and over again to little success. And finally, I just said, this isn't working for me. And this guy over here, who I respect, somebody that I studied a lot, I was like, this guy says I should do it this way. He's richer than me. He knows more than me. I'm just going to do whatever he says. So I put together this entire presentation following his rules. So step by step by step. A lot of it was uncomfortable, made me a little queasy to put into the presentation, but I was like, heck, I got to figure this out. I got to pay my credit card bill. Let's see if this guy can help. So I'm going through the presentation. So let me back up a little bit. I ended up going up to a facility nearby my house, and I was giving a presentation to everybody involved at the facility. There was a ton of people. So I'm up there going through the presentation, hitting the stuff that I would never put into a presentation, but I did it anyway. And at the end of the presentation was like a little sales pitch. I was selling a $500 course, a digital course that I was giving out. And I put a little QR code at the top so that somebody could just take their phone out, put it up there, and then they could buy. And in the moment that I put that QR code up on the screen, I watched literally every single person in the room reach into their pocket, pull out their phone, hold it up to the camera, hold it up to the screen, go to the QR code, go to the website, and purchase my $500 course. And at the time, I had my notifications, my payment notifications linked to my watch. So I was sitting there, and every time I would sit there and as they began to mount up, I'm getting excited. I'm freaking out. I cannot believe that this is happening. And I'm like 30 seconds into it, I'm like, there goes this month's credit card, next month's credit card, the next month's credit card. And it is just absolutely mind blowing that this is happening. And I'm trying to keep my cool. We're like, oh my gosh, like this is totally normal. And people are trying to have a conversation with me, and I'm just acting as if it was totally fine. And at the end of it, everyone was saying goodbye to everybody. A couple of people walked me out to my car, and I waved them goodbye, shook some hands, and I got in the car, and I pulled out of my spot, went up to the stop sign, made a left out, made another left, I think it was, crossed this little river. And as soon as I got out of sight, I put my hands up in the air and I screamed as loud as I could because I was wildly excited that just happened. I couldn't believe that I turned the music up as loud. I was having a party on my way back to my house because I couldn't believe what had happened. And the reason, the ultimate secret and the ultimate thing that I want you to know is that there is a different way to do it. Most people, when they are trying to reach a higher level of goal, they do more of what they've always done in the past. But in order to get to a place that you've never been, you have to do things that you've never done. And what I want you to know is that in order to take a quantum leap in your business, every time you want to take a quantum leap in your business, it will require you to do less work. Now, that might be hard for you to believe, but you have to understand that there is a different way of thinking about business. Right now, you might be saying, I would love to make $100,000 in the next 12 months. While Jeff Bezos thinks, if I don't make $100,000 every 12 seconds, my life is ruined. I've completely failed, right? There is another way to think about business. And when you understand these things, you open up an entire new world and you're able to take quantum leaps inside of your business. Now, these are a couple conversations that I had with some of the coaching clients that we've worked with in the past. And this guy right here, he was selling $50 single sessions. And as you can see, we opened his world up and we showed him how to think differently about business and how to open up this new world of cash flow. And he's selling the same people, the same clients, but instead of selling $50, he's selling for $3,000. This is another one of our clients who came to me selling $70 single personal training sessions. And if you see there, if you look, it's a little small there, but this was the first sale that he made with us. And it was for $4,500. Now, this isn't just raising your prices. This is thinking about business differently. There are strategies. There are things that you can implement into your business to dramatically and take a quantum leap in the cash flow and the revenue that your business is making. You just have to be able to think differently. And that's what I want to show you here. So how many of you out there right now are saying, I cannot wait to implement this energetic, this myelination, this fuel for my business and these strategies into my business? How many of you out there are thinking that right now? Well, for those of you that are, I put together something special, and that is the Weight Room Wealth System, the Weight Room Wealth System. Now, let me tell you what the Weight Room Wealth System is. So here's everything you're going to get when you sign up for the Weight Room Wealth System today. The first thing you're going to get is our Weight Room Wealth System swag box. We're going to deliver it to your actual in your real life door. Now, inside of it comes a t-shirt, the workbook. You're going to get access to all sorts of different things. You're going to get access to our digital content, but you're also going to get our Weight Room Wealth newsletter, which is typically $97 a month. We're just going to give you 6 months free of the Weight Room Wealth newsletter. We're going to deliver it each month to your door, where I literally write you like a mini book every single month. I put together every day. I sit down and I write at my computer the most cutting edge technology that we're using, the business strategies that we're executing, and we send them to you to your door so you can have them. You can take notes on it and you can write on, you can highlight so that you can have it to be able to implement all this real-time stuff into your business. Now, that also, what you're going to get as part of this is you're going to get a 4-week training program. Now, you're going to get 6 of these, one each month for the next 6 months. And the 4-week training program is specifically designed for the needs of the entrepreneur. The 4-week training program is designed for energy and myelination and growth and all of the things that entrepreneurs need every single day. Okay. The Weight Room Wealth System is the swag box delivered to your door, the training program, the neuro training program, 6 months free of the Weight Room Wealth newsletter, and the most up-to-date science, technology, and strategy. It's $9,997 worth of value, and we're going to give that to you today. Okay. That's the Weight Room Wealth System, $9,997 value, total value same. Second thing we're going to give you is I want to give you a free ticket to the Weight Room Wealth live seminar. Now, the reason that I want to give you this is because I know how important it is to have a live experience. I know how important it is to be there and experience the energy and be in an environment of growth and be around people that are also contributing to growth. Now, the Weight Room Wealth Live System the Weight Room Wealth Live experience is a 2-day immersive experience. You can put yourself in the environment. You can work together to create a breakthrough plan, and you can experience the live energy of a live event. This is coming to a city near you. We're loading up our calendar with dates right now. That's $1,997 of value. We're going to give you that for free for signing up for the Weight Room Wealth seminar today. So that's the Weight Room Wealth System, $9,997 worth of value, and a free ticket to the Weight Room Wealth Live 2-day immersive experience. That's $1,997 worth of value. That's a total of $11,994 worth of value. Now, I'm not done there. Now, for those of you who didn't know, I have been training the trainers for many years. I have been